place going. You guys, we have a huge election, and you're going to be the reason we win it. So I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Steve Scheffler. We have another RNC committee person here, Ginger Howard from Georgia. And let's thank Ralph Reed and the Faith and Freedom organization. Thank you so much. You know, every day, every single day, like all of you, I wake up feeling blessed to live in the greatest nation on earth, the United States of America. I also know that it was men of faith that allowed us our freedoms, and we can never forget that. And this next election, we are going to have a crossroads determining the future of this country. Are we gonna go down the path of our founders, or are we gonna follow what the Democrats want, a socialist agenda with woke as the ruling class, where they can cancel anybody at any time, at any place, anywhere? That's what they want for our country. I can't think of an election where we will have economic issues play such a big role, which we know they will with the gas prices and inflation and the things that we're dealing with, but also our values and our cultural issues will be on the ballot. And I cannot think of an election where the faith community will have more of a role in determining the fate and the future of our country than this upcoming election. We've seen 2 races this year where faith has played a big role in those wins. One is Glenn Youngkin, our great new governor from Virginia. Glenn tackled tough issues. He stood up for parents, he stood up for kids in the classroom, he talked about education, and he took on the woke mob, and he won in a state that Biden had won by 10 points. This last week, we saw the historic election of Mayra Flores in Texas. Mayra immigrated legally to this country when she was just 6 years old. Her husband is protecting our country every day as a border agent. And she said when she won, "I am going to return God to the halls of Congress." She embraced her faith, and she ran on conservative principles, and she won. And my message to everyone heading into this election is we need to stand strong in our conservative principles. We need to follow the example of Glenn Youngkin and Mayra Flores and tell our story, and that is how we will win. Now, I am the head of the RNC. I've been there for 5 years, but the most important and pivotal role that I will ever have in my life is being a mother to my 2 children, Abigail and Nash. And yes, I said mother. I didn't say birthing person or vessel or whatever they want to say. I'm a mom, and you cannot take that away from me. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, because Democrats don't want to hear our stories. It took me a long time to get pregnant with my first child, Abigail. It was a struggle. There were lots of prayers. There was lots of angst as we tried desperately. And I will tell you, the first second that I saw that I was pregnant, that child was a baby. She was my daughter, and I was a mom, and I am so proud to be with the party that stands for life. Now, my pregnancy was great. I love being pregnant, but when Abigail was born, we had some complications. She almost didn't make it. She was born with a cleft palate, which if anyone's had that in their lives, it means a lot of surgeries ahead. And I think about that a lot as I'm watching the radical Democrat policies, which probably would have encouraged people to not have a baby like my daughter. 1, because she had a cleft palate. 2, because you can have abortion on demand on a due date with the Democrat Party. And 3rd, because the Democrat Party agrees with gender selection abortion, something that any civilized world should not have. We are on the right side of this issue. We need to stand up for life, and we need to push back against the radical Democrat ideas on abortion. So then I had Abigail, I had Nash, and I was a stay-home mom. I loved being a stay-home mom. I was room mom as they went into kindergarten, and I remember helping my daughter learn how to read. Any of you who've helped your children learn how to read, it's not easy. Our language isn't easy. And I'm watching what's happening in Florida. How proud we are of Governor DeSantis, who is standing up. Because the Democrats want to teach our 5-year-olds about sex and about gender, and I want to say, let's teach our kids the ABCs, not the birds and the bees. And Ron DeSantis has stood strong for our kids, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate his leadership. Democrats have fought more on that issue, on what he has done in Florida. They are fighting more to get kids to be able to go see drag queen shows than they did to get kids in school, and it's shameful, and we need to fight against them. And remember, when COVID was at its peak, it was the Democrats who kept our kids out of the classroom and had them masked up. And when they finally let our kids back into the classroom, the left bombarded them with radical gender ideology and inappropriate sexual content. We've heard reports of teachers encouraging kids to decide their own gender and then intentionally hiding it from parents. I'm sure that we all agree this is the kind of thing we have nightmares about. These are kids. These are our children. They aren't old enough to drive, let alone make life-changing decisions. And I'm gonna do something I've never done before. I'm gonna quote a liberal atheist, Bill Maher, on what he said about this issue. If kids knew what they wanted to be at age 8, the world would be filled with cowboys and princesses. Some kids wanted to be pirates. Thank God nobody took them seriously and scheduled them for eye removal and peg leg surgery, right? We send our kids to school to learn academics. The Democrats want our kids in school to be indoctrinated as future activists, and we are not going to allow it. Let's talk about my daughter again. In her freshman year in high school, she tried out for a highly competitive tennis team, one of the best tennis teams in the entire state of Michigan. She didn't make the team. So she went back her sophomore year, she worked hard, she made that team. Imagine if she had to compete against Roger Federer and Pete Sampras to make that tennis team. Biological males should not be competing and taking the place of our daughters in school sports. I was here in Nashville 2 years ago after coming off of the pandemic and being one of those parents, like so many of you, working hard to keep our kids in school and learning through this terrible, terrible pandemic. And I said something that I believe is true today. The Democrats before this election have awoken a sleeping giant in the moms of America. But I'm gonna add to that. It's not just moms, it's dads, it's grandparents, and it is the faith community, and we are going to stand up and stand proud because we are not going to let them take away our country. I am proud to be the head of a party that stands for life, that stands for family, that stands for school choice, for religious freedom, and more importantly, a party that reveres our Constitution and understands the greatness of America. And I'm gonna say to each and every one of you, as we head into this election, we need you more than ever. We need you to knock doors and make calls and reach out and be bold and tell your story and talk about your conservative principles. And yes, we need to pray because we have got to win in November. So please join me and let's take back the House, let's take back the Senate, and let's take back the White House in 2024. God bless you and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.